Apostates of Jehovah's organization. What is an apostate? Some people may say that an apostate is any person who abandons his religious beliefs, no matter what those beliefs might be. The definition of apostate that I will be using, however, is the biblical view of apostasy. The Bible foretells the coming of a great apostasy. Let no one seduce you in any manner, because it will not come unless the apostasy comes first, and the man of lawlessness gets revealed, the son of destruction. 2 Thessalonians 2:3. The Bible also describes the attitude of those apostates and what they would do. 2 Timothy 2:16-18 says, "But shun empty speeches that violate what is holy, for they will advance to more and more ungodliness, and their word will spread like gangrene. These very men have deviated from the truth." 1 Timothy 4:1 says, "The inspired utterance says definitely that in later periods of time some will fall away from the faith." These texts clearly point out that these apostates would fall away from the faith and that they have deviated from the truth. In a biblical sense, therefore, an apostate is someone who abandons or deserts the worship and service of God, a falling away of true worship, an abandoning of truth as found in the Bible. In reality, apostasy is a rebellion against the one true God, Jehovah. Some apostates profess to know and serve God, but reject teachings or requirements set out in His Word. Others claim to believe the Bible, but reject Jehovah's organization. Now, this action of falling away from true worship is described in the Bible. 1 John 2:19 says, "They went out from us, but they were not of our sort. For if they had been of our sort, they would have remained with us. But they went out, so that it might be shown that not all are of our sort." Most apostates don't slowly drift away from Jehovah. They deliberately choose to go out from among God's people, because they are not of our sort. The Bible shows us how to identify these apostates and how to protect ourselves from their apostasy. Apostasy often starts with prideful rejection of biblical counsel and escalates to bitterness and jealousy. In James 3:14, James warns us that a heart full of bitter jealousy and contentiousness can lead us to lying against the truth. Now, how does this defiance to the truth manifest itself? The actions of apostates bear three characteristics. These three characteristics help us identify an apostate. The first identifying mark of an apostate is commented on at Luke 6:46. "Why, then, do you call me Lord, Lord, but do not do the things I say?" These apostates claim to be followers of Christ. They call Him Lord, yet they are not obedient to His commands. They are not obedient to the Bible. A recent example of where this happened was during the mid-1970s, when some prominent elders felt it was below their dignity to witness from house to house, proclaiming the message as commanded by Jesus. They urged others to take it easy, because the humble work of witnessing from house to house was unnecessary or unscriptural. The governing body removed the unrepentant apostates from the organization. The faithful slave did not allow the effort of these apostates to distract from the primary work of Jehovah's Witnesses, proclaiming God's word of truth. So the first characteristic to identifying an apostate is that they reject God's service. They simply ignore Jesus' command to go therefore and make disciples. Matthew 28:19. They are not obedient to His commands. A second characteristic to identify an apostate is commented on at Acts 20:30. "And from among you yourselves men will rise and speak twisted things to draw away the disciples after themselves." A lot of apostates are not content with just abandoning Jehovah God. They want to take others with them. Rather than going out and making their own disciples, they try to draw away and lure Christ's disciples after themselves. These apostates prey among members of the congregation, seeking to carry them away from the flock. In addition, they seek to cause divisions in the congregation. However, there also came to be false prophets among the people, as there will also be false teachers among you. These very ones will quietly bring in destructive sects and will disown even the owner that brought them, bringing speedy destruction upon themselves. 2 Peter 2:1. To accomplish this, apostates tend to cook up misleading reasonings and false information about Jehovah's Witnesses. They are always spreading lies about Jehovah's organization in an attempt to deceive people, an attempt to draw people away from Jehovah. So the second characteristic in identifying an apostate is that they seek to draw away Christ's disciples after themselves and to cause divisions. Now, a third characteristic to identify an apostate is that they claim to serve Jehovah, but they reject his representatives. The Apostle John mentions such a person by name in 3 John verse 9. I wrote something to the congregation, but Diotrephes, who likes to have the first place among them, does not receive anything from us with respect. John was opposed by Diotrephes, a man who had little respect for John's authority. In an attempt to discredit Jehovah's representative, Diotrephes was chattering about John with wicked words. 3 John 10. Like Diotrephes, apostates claim to serve God but reject his representatives. They lie to authorities. Through the media, they seek to discredit Jehovah's people and incite bans on our work. For example, in one country, a news report instigated by apostates falsely stated that Jehovah's Witnesses supported Hitler's regime during World War II. In other countries, apostates have used the media to accuse witnesses of refusing to give medical treatment to their children and of deliberately condoning serious sins committed by fellow believers. Now, let's take a quick look at a clip from a news report in Russia discussing Jehovah's Witnesses.
But is Russian society generally tolerant of other faiths? You said that a lot of other faiths have sprung up since the 1990s. For example, we see Hare Krishna parading in the streets here in Moscow. Why is it perhaps the Jehovah's Witnesses are being picked on?
It's hard to say why they're being picked on. I think that there is definitely they do have a very, very bad image, both in the media and among the public in general. I think that there's been a lot of literature which has been saying how dangerous they are, and exactly the annoyance that you spelled out. I think that plays a role.
Just finally, briefly, do you think they will be banned from Russia?
I think banning is really a very counterproductive approach here, because there are definitely dozens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of Jehovah's Witnesses around the country. They will not stop practicing their religion. They will go underground, and that will be a source of conflict, maybe bigger than when they are legal. But as soon as they observe the law and their activities are being monitored, that would be better.
Andrei Zolotov from Russia Profile magazine. We'll leave it there. Thanks very much. Good to hear what you have to say. Thank you.
Clearly, these apostates and opposers have fabricated this news story by showing fake images and videos to shock the masses and share lies on the news about Jehovah's servants. So the third characteristic in identifying an apostate is that they reject, grossly lie about and misrepresent, and try to discredit Jehovah's representatives here on earth. So now that we can biblically identify apostates, how can you protect yourself from them? We find the answer in Romans 16:17. Now I exhort you, brothers, to keep your eye on those who cause divisions and occasions for stumbling, contrary to the teachings that you have learned, and avoid them. The Bible's counsel of how to treat these apostates is clear. Avoid them. To avoid apostates means not to read their literature, not to see their videos, websites, or any other media they have. Now, does avoiding apostates imply that our faith is not strong enough to discern the truth from falsehood? Does it suggest that our faith is not strong enough to discuss different views? Not at all. For in our preaching work, we constantly talk with those who have different views. Apostates, however, differ from those we meet in our ministry. Apostates are not sincere in their expressions. They are liars and deceivers bent on destroying our relationship with Jehovah God and His Son, Jesus. Their aim is to manipulate your mind and undermine your faith. Untruth they keep speaking one to the other. With a smooth lip they keep speaking, even with a double heart. Psalm 12:2. Now, unfortunately, perhaps some of us have encountered an apostate while preaching out in service, or maybe an apostate planted a seed of doubt in our heart. Perhaps one of us has lost a family member or a dear friend to apostasy. Or maybe our family or friend may be heading in that direction, and we don't know how to help them. This channel will feature a series of videos that present a defense against claims that apostates and opposers make about Jehovah's Witnesses and the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. The intention here is to sanctify and defend Jehovah's name, and to prepare ourselves to always be ready to make a defense before everyone that demands of you a reason for the hope of you, but doing so with a mild temper and deep respect. 1 Peter 3:15.